The subject struck the officer pretty hard, pretty aggressively, almost taking the officer to the ground.
And all of a sudden, he just hit one of the police twice, and the police fell to the ground.
And I think the deputy responded and acted appropriately.
And that deputy with the city marshal's office says he was forced to open fire, striking a man multiple times. We're told that man was beating up that police officer you just saw and had just beaten up another man before that final confrontation with police. Thanks for joining us here at 10. Tonight, 41-year-old Bobby Wallace was identified as the man believed to be at the center of today's violent acts. He sits in jail tonight accused of battery of an officer and resisting arrest with force and violence. KSLA News 12's Jeff Fell reveals more about today's events and explains why Wallace's family says these acts of violence are sad but not surprising.
Officers and first responders all converged on Sunnybrook Street after the fire department called police for help in a domestic call.
Tearing up the house, breaking windows, and beating a suspect, beating an individual at that time.
A neighbor who only wants to be identified as Pam says she's the one who initially called 911 after finding the suspect, identified by friends and family as Bobby Wallace, in his backyard having a seizure. Pam says by then, Wallace had already attacked his own grandfather, Foster Wallace, inside the house. Pam says Bobby was soon back on his feet, even chasing her for a moment. Pam says it wasn't long before the suspect, identified as Bobby Wallace, crossed this street and tried to knock on a neighbor's door. Soon thereafter, he crossed back, and around this area is where he made first contact with police.
I saw it when the police all came over to talk to him, and he just hauled off and hit one of the police twice. And when the police fell, that's when I heard the gunshots. Like, I heard 3.
Police say it was a deputy city marshal on scene who shot the suspect several times after seeing the officer punched. We met the grandfather's son and ex-wife a few houses away. They told us the family had tried to separate Foster from his sometimes violent grandson in the past.
And that man is 72 years old. He jumps on that man. He hollered at that man. He half-feed that man. I told him before this even happened to get your daddy. Go down there and get your daddy. He jumped on him.
Bobby Wallace, his grandfather Foster, and the officer who'd been punched were all taken to University Health Hospital for treatment. Jeff Farrell, KSLA News 12.
And the chief says they attempted to use non-lethal methods to subdue that suspect, but that did not work. Friends and relatives say the suspect, Bobby Wallace, has a history of seizures and can't remember anything during those episodes, but they could not say if they had anything to do with his alleged attack on his grandfather this morning.